All right. Good morning, millionaires. Good morning, millionaires. Hope everybody's feeling good this morning. How was your weekend? How was your weekend? Everybody feeling dope? I hope you do. Hope you know who you are and whose you are. You know what I mean? My name is Haziq Ali. I'm a revenue acceleration expert and somebody who's dedicated to helping you go further faster with less effort as it relates to your business. My favorite people on the planet are entrepreneurs. And every single morning, this is what we do. We get together so that um, we can help each other grow. You know, we want to make success inevitable rather than failure. And unfortunately, most people in this world we live in, they headed for failure, y'all. So let's gather up right now. Let them know what city you from. Even if you're watching the replay, let them know what city you from and let's get it.
Than you. Hello, this is Les Brown, and you're in the right place at the right time.
Let's get it.
Because we're going to bring the millionaire out of you.
Facts. Every time you say that, I hope y'all say facts in your head.
Please announce yourself.
Because that's a fact. You can become a millionaire if that's what you want to do.
All participants are muted.
A millionaire is really nothing but $1,000 times 1,000.
Entry and exit.
You know what I mean? $1 million is nothing but $2,000 times 500 people. You know what I'm saying? $1 million, y'all, is nothing but $500 times 2,000 people. In other words, if you have a product where you make $500 each time you sell it, all you have to do to make $1 million is sell it to 2,000 people. Or if the product makes you $2,000, all you need to become a millionaire is to sell that $2,000 product to 500 people. I hope I'm making sense to somebody out here. We are in a world right now where you need to be thinking about that. You need to be considering that, y'all, because the world is changing, and it's changing quicker than I've ever seen. As we go to publishing this morning, Amazon just now announced that they're about to lay off 10,000 people. Now, you say layoffs happen all the time, Haziq. First of all, layoffs don't happen all the time, but layoffs happen in their proper season. You know what I mean? We're in what we call a cycle, you know? Even this nature thing that we live in is made up of cycles, right? We know that every time after the fall is going to come the winter. And then we know every time after the winter is going to come the spring. And then after spring is going to come summer. Then after summer is going to come fall again. We can set our watch by that. Is that a fact? So why do people always act so amazed when it's time to change? Yeah, check-in time, check-in time. Let them know what city you calling in from. Let them know what city you represent. We want to know where we got family at. Hey, man, Arsenio, well, whenever I hear that Drake 21 Savage joint, I be thinking about you. I swear, the dude on them interludes be sounding just like Arsenio. Yeah, what's up? Good morning, Queen. My man D Money in the house. My man Vasan. All right, y'all. So it's all about change, right? Somebody write this in the comments and share it if you agree. Change is inevitable. Progress is optional. Can somebody write that out? Change is inevitable. Progress is optional. Somebody give me that in the comments. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Change is inevitable. Progress is optional. You know, it's check-in time. Rep your city, rep your city. Change is inevitable. Progress is optional. Check it out, y'all. You have to learn to adapt to change or die. You have to learn to adapt to change or die. When you watch these TikTok videos that are coming out where people are they're having to turn in their badges, turn in their vests, you know, you got to understand that where people are in this world, they've been trained, okay, to want something for nothing. Do you know in this universe that's impossible? You have one of my favorite laws in Think and Grow Rich talks about how if you write out what you want and you write out how you're going, you got to write out what you're willing to give up to get it. See, the thing about these jobs and these layoffs that I always try to get people to see, the thing about this lifestyle where you decide that, you know what, I'm going to campaign for a higher minimum wage instead of stay on myself about giving out a higher level of minimum value, is that most people are in a downward spiral, man. They in a death march. They on a death march. And they don't even see it. Check this out. Write this in your notes. Whatever starts off easy always gets hard. Whatever starts off hard always gets easy. Does that make sense? Whatever starts off, if it's easy, then it's going to make your life hard. If it's hard, eventually your life is going to get easy. And this is one of those concepts you need to hold really near and dear to yourself as you're navigating change. Change occurs in entrepreneurship every single minute. On an average day, an entrepreneur, especially if you flat out in sales, you're going to make some cold calls, right? You're going to follow up with, let's say, 10 different prospects. You're going to make 3 presentations, right? This is if you're serious. This is if you're really trying to grow your income. You might send out 5 emails or text messages or DMs or proposals, and you're going to get turned down a bunch of times, and all of that's to make 1 sale. Wow. Right? Wow. And then when you consider the changes that are constantly taking place around that entrepreneur while all this is happening, the word wow sounds even wilder. You know what I mean? It's almost like you take on a new reverence for the entrepreneur once you realize everything that has to happen, all the stars that have to align for that person to be a success. And this is why so few entrepreneurs make it to the top, because they're unable to synergize these superior sales skills, synergize these superior personal skills with the flexibility to adapt. The race don't go to the strongest, y'all. The race don't go to the fastest. Let me tell you what happens. The race goes to he who can adapt the quickest. You might want to write that down. The race goes to he who can adapt the quickest. It's the entrepreneur's ability to roll with the tides, to accept it and then roll with it. That's going to be the heart of your ability to succeed. So what I wanted to do this morning was give you about 10 different areas, all right, where change is inevitable, but progress is optional. I want you to jot these down. I want you to get serious about them. And then I want you to think about it. Have you ever experienced this? Could this be on the way? How do you normally adapt to it? How do you normally deal with it? Here's the first one, y'all. Product changes. This is usually the easiest one, except whatever you sell may change. And I'm going to tell you something. If what you sell hasn't changed, you may want to look at it, because there are lions waiting to eat your lunch. And as this world changes and you're still in the old school way you used to do it, I'm telling you, you're begging for mercy. You are counting on the mercy of the predator. And that's never a good recipe. Hope is not a strategy. You get what I'm saying? So product changes. What are you doing to adapt when your product changes? And a lot of times we don't mind this one. This one's the easiest, because at the end of the day, a change usually means that this thing got newer. A change usually means this thing got better, right? So what is the success tactic for a product change? You got to immediately learn and master the changes. Determine what the new competitive advantages are, right? What are the new areas of opportunity that have been opened up? Why was this change necessary? What are some ways your customer can benefit from these changes? What are some ways your customer can focus on these changes? How can you focus the customer on these changes in case they didn't even notice, right? Last night I did an update on my phone. And every time Apple gives you an update, what they start doing is asking you questions like, hey, here's what's new in notes. Here's what's new in. Do you do that for your clients? Do you do that for your audience? Huh? Here's the second one. Policy changes. Policy changes. New rules, new procedures, right? What do you do when the company that you work with, or one of the vendors that you support, or one of the fusion partnerships that you created have suddenly decided to change policy? Now it feels like you're swimming upstream, right? But you're not. Don't fight it, right? Fighting policy changes leads to employment changes. You hear what I'm saying to you? What you want to do is spend as much time figuring out a way to use these new procedures to your benefit and your advantage as they do complaining about it, as they do whining, as they do griping. While they're whining, you busy winning, because change is inevitable, baby. Progress is optional. Change is inevitable, but progress is optional. Change is inevitable. It's the progress that you got a choice about. Here's the third one. Price changes. Price goes up. I mean, ain't the prices of everything going up? It's called inflation, baby. So what do you do if the price is going up? Millionaire, You got to start selling value. It's time for you to stop selling price. Sell cost over a period of time. When they raise the price of a Mercedes, they take it up $2,000. Do you think they lose market share? Well, no, they don't. Why? Because they're selling the value. They're selling the prestige that's built into the brand, right? They're selling the fact that for years, they've been top of the technology pyramid. They've been top of the technology food chain, right? And they're able to leverage that. So when a price change happens, you just assume, oh, some new innovations must be coming. Man, I had a Benz that was maybe 6-7 years old, and it already had night vision in it. My new car, oh my God, I ain't even gonna get started. But I'm talking about the one from 6-7 years ago. You could flip a switch and then the whole panel would turn into night vision. And now you can see if a deer is about to run across the street and all that. This is Mercedes for you. My boy had been driving BMWs, Range Rovers, and all of that. He got his first Mercedes. He was like, oh, bro, do you know the seats massage you? I was like, yeah, bro, for 10 years now. He was like, what? And he has money. I mean, he's a real estate investor. He does all kinds. But Mercedes is Mercedes for a reason. And that's what they sell you. They don't sell you the price. They sell you the value. What can you do to sell more of your product's value? That might be something cool for you to type in. That might be something cool for you to write in your notes. Here's number 4. Market condition changes. Market condition changes. So there's not enough demand for your product. Now what? Or market condition changes. All of a sudden, layoffs are happening all over the country. And I might even say all over the world. What do you do now? Right? Check it out. This is the time to fight hard to increase your customer base. You got to network more, right? You got to sell like your survival depends on it. But here's the trick that makes you successful while these chumps is losing. Do it before you have to. Somebody type that in the comments. Do it before you have to. Somebody say, I'm going to do it before I have to. I'm going to do it before I have to. Step up your game before the market. You want to do it before. And, I was talking to a guy. I can't really say he's a friend. I can't even really say he's an associate. He's just somebody who tunes in every now and then and all that good stuff. But he was just talking about how, man, he's about to get evicted, et cetera, so forth. And I'm like, you saw that coming before now. You saw that coming before now. What you got to do is do it before you have to, right? Network now. Like you may lose your job next week. Like it may be time for you to start meeting people who represent new opportunities now. Because when you pray for an opportunity, you don't realize it, but you're praying for a person to enter your life. Is that a fact? Sell like your survival depends on it now, before you have to. Start an hour earlier before you have to. Stay an hour later before you have to. Utilize your time to its maximum before you have to. I don't know how many of y'all get the newsletter we send out, our Entrepreneur Mindset newsletter. In a quote this last week, I quoted the founder of IKEA, and he gave a hell of a time management technique. He was like, you can get so much more than you think done in 10 minutes. He was like, separate your day into 10-minute increments and waste as few of them as possible. Let me tell you who thinks like that. Somebody with an eviction notice on their door. Somebody who just now got a pink slip from their job and found out they ain't going to have a job in a couple weeks. That person ain't wasting time. What if you did it before you have to? What if you did it before you have to? Let them know, Digital Daryl. Let them know, Digital Daryl. We're going to do it before we have to. Here's the next one. Competition changes. Competition changes. Your competitor lowers price and starts talking trash about you. And you find this out from your best customer who just got stolen away. What do you do? What do you do? Here's a success tactic for competition changes. You got to find out why. Make the changes necessary after you find out why to ensure it never happens again. Then find out where your competitive advantages are and sell from that space. I was talking to this girl yesterday, and she was just talking about how she think love exists, but she's never gonna find it. And I was like, well, what did you learn from your last relationship? She was like, all men cheat. I was like, but that's not true. You know what I mean? You don't want to find out why the relationship lost its spark. You don't want to find out why the relationship stopped working for this gentleman. When you say he has everything that you wanted, you don't want to learn nothing from it, man. Listen to me. Back to business, right? You got to take your L's and make it learning. And then before you know it, you're able to remove the L's. And now you're earning. What I'm saying is find out why. Make the changes necessary to make sure it never happens again. Then find out where your competitive advantages are. And then that's the space you sell from. Here's the next one. Customer changes. Customer changes, y'all. All of a sudden, there's a new buyer. All of a sudden, you're under new management. All of a sudden, there's a new ownership of this relationship that you had. If there's a new person, y'all, here's a success tactic. You need to become a resource to them. You need to become a resource to them, right? Help him or her understand their new corporate position from the perspective of where you are, right? Help them understand the culture that just now joined from your perspective. I'm telling you, everybody needs something. A lot of your attitude adjustment needs to be, how can I serve so that I can deserve? How can I serve so that I can deserve? What can I do to serve so I deserve? Here's the next one. Company changes. Company changes, y'all. Company changes. Check it out. Sometimes it's kind of difficult to produce when the structure of the company is starting to change. You got all these internal organization changes, partners getting bought out, all this internal restructuring. They done changed your whole website. They're changing a culture. Maybe some big group comes and joins what you're doing. Maybe some brand new customer comes along and all of a sudden they're able to dictate the pace and the tempo because of their sheer buying power, right? Things are starting to change. What do? With all you're getting, get understanding. Again, this has been the success tactic twice in a row now. We're saying you got to get understanding and then synthesize. You got to harmonize, right? Don't fight it. Be proactive towards acceptance. Ask how you can help, right? You got to serve before you deserve. Support the leader. Don't go around whining. Don't go around grumbling to everybody. It's too easy. And don't forget, whatever's easy always ends up making your life hard. Stop embracing what's easy. That's not true all the time because as Think and Grow Rich said, I give it to you from Gary Vaynerchuk. He was like, I suck at 99% of the stuff I do. But what I do is I overcompensate with that 1% I'm good at. So that 1% you're good at, it comes to you kind of easy. That's a good thing. That's the exception that makes the rule even more important. What I'm saying is when these things start to change in your company, be proactive towards its acceptance, right? Ask how you can help. Don't grumble. Don't whine. Don't be a source of, demoralizing everybody. Be the one who's a light. Here's the next one. Pay changes, y'all. Pay changes. When entrepreneurs get successful, when salespeople get successful, management starts to panic at the amount of money they make, right? You see it all the time. The reason I love what it is we do is because, we're kind of immune to that kind of stuff when you're in a home-based business. But trust me, out there in corporate America, a salesman starts making too much money. This is when territories get cut. This is when commissions get lowered, positions get rearranged, right? And this starts to strike fear into the heart of the salesperson. It starts to strike fear, anger, right? You start to grow in your resentment if you're normal, if you're average. So what do you need to do to combat this? Figure out what this change really means to you from a workload perspective, right? Figure out what this change really means to you from a dollar and cents perspective. Is a change acceptable to you? Can you live with it? I got a cousin. A lot of my family went to Ivy League schools. He's no exception. And, he's a Harvard guy. And he works at this company where he kind of helps to organize the pallets and stuff like that. Me and my sister were blown away We went to dinner with him a couple of weeks ago about how nuanced and intense the world of tracking pallets is. Y'all know pallets, them wooden things that your stuff gets shipped on. Well, anyway, he does pretty well for himself. And he was like, they offered him a raise, right? They offered him a raise, but and so that would be a pay change. But when he started inquiring what was required, he's like, "Oh, that's way too much work." You know, his kids is in soccer. He's the type of dad that drives his kids around to the soccer matches all over the country, stuff like that. He's like, all y'all gonna do is put me in another tax bracket. Taxes is gonna take most of that. That raise ain't big enough for the extra work. This is what you got to ask yourself. You have to say, is the change acceptable to you? Can you live with it? And it ain't always that they're offering you less. It ain't always that they're forcing you to take less. Sometimes they're offering you more. And it might be time, if you're going to go for more, to start your own company. You never know. Here's the next one. Staff changes, y'all. Staff changes is number 9. Staff changes. People come and go. You know, I had to have a rough conversation with one of our employees last week. You know, it's rough having to fire somebody. It's rough having to warn somebody they're about to be fired, right? But man, what if you're the one that's having that tough conversation? What if you're the one who's being talked to? What if you're the one who they had to call the meeting with, right? What if you're the one that's about to get fired? What if you're the one that's under fire? People come and go. You know, what if you're the one whose friend got fired? People come and go. If your friend is fired or some real jerk, you know, gets hired, right? It can start to cause stress. How do you fight this one? You got to look at why the change took place. You got to look at why the change took place. Look at the last few changes. Are you starting to notice a pattern here? Is there a trend? Are you next? What do you need to get to the top? Why haven't they come for you already? What can you do to accentuate more of that? Why do they value you? Why are you so important to the operation? Maybe that's something to start sharing with others. You get what I'm saying? Or maybe not. Maybe you're the type that wants to hold it close to your chest. All I'm saying is it's crazy to ignore it. And then number 10 is personal growth changes. I know I'm going really fast. That's the purpose of the rewind. That's the purpose of the replay. But personal growth changes are really real. I'm talking about marriages. I'm talking about divorces. I'm talking about loved ones passing away. I'm talking about new babies being born. I'm talking about too much debt. I'm talking about a burning desire to succeed on another level when you see the neighbor pull up in some new car, right? Or you go and visit one of your best friends and you look around at their house. See, this type of stuff sparks personal growth. Here's a success tactic, y'all. Leave your personal problems at home. You got to leave that stuff at home, man. You got to maintain your success focus. You hear what I'm saying to you? You got to take that and leverage it to create a renewed attitude, a renewed desire for achievement. This is where you start listening to stuff like Good Morning Millionaire when you're in the car. This is where you start going back through the playlist, looking for the ones that are based around mindset, not just sticking with me. You know, I'm talking about all the great Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale. What are you doing to feed your soul, man? Because a lot of times you can't affect the change. The change affects you. But the masters of the universe around us, it's the exact opposite. You know, even in human relations, even when you're talking about dealing with other humans, you know, the one who creates the emotional reaction always lose. Listen, whoever can get the other one to emotionally react, they won. They won. I had a real wild situation happen just yesterday. You know, with the old me, man, even when I talked to my business, I was hot, man. Like I was walking through the store when it happened, when I had got off the phone with the person. I mean, I go into the person hung up on me. You know what I mean? Well, I was hot. I was hot. You know, there's a version of me back in the day that would have got really real because I felt disrespected by this gentleman. You know, this gentleman that you know, I know ego starts to get into it. You start making a certain amount of money. I had something in me that wanted me to show, you know, it was wild, boy. But then I remembered, when someone gets you to react emotionally, they just won and you just lost. Millionaires, it might not be your fault, but it's always going to be your responsibility because ain't nobody coming to save you. You hear what I'm saying to you? So your responsibility in dealing with this changing environment is you need to understand them first, right? Leaders understand. Followers need to be understood, right? You got to create the attitude of acceptance. Y'all know the serenity prayer, right? Third, you need to view change as a challenge and a learning experience. Number 4, you need to make a plan to harmonize with those things or those people that are starting to affect you. Number 5, and this is important, you got to speak about the change in a supportive way. That's important. Number 6, you have to focus on your adaptability and your ability to compromise. Number 7, act on changes in a way that it builds, not destroys. Number 8, maintain your positive mental attitude at all costs. Number 9, don't allow change to distract your focus, right? Or drain your drive to succeed. Like, man, no matter what I do, they're going to change something. That's a trick of the devil. Don't fall for it. And then the last one I got for you is that you adopt the perception. You adopt the mindset that you're going to take advantage of the change. Y'all hear me? New is better. New is better. We buy new in the grocery store. It's the second most powerful word in all of marketing. Free is first. But new is the second most powerful word in all of marketing, right? So let's embrace it. If people crave it in a store, if they eat it up on TV, why do they resist it when it's actually happening in their life? Why do they fight it? Here's why. They got fear of the unknown. They got fear of loss of whatever existing security they perceive. You hear me? They got a poor attitude towards growth. You know, they're one of these people that don't realize you either grow or you die. They have a lack of self-confidence that they can adapt to whatever comes. And this is the worst one, they just got a flat out lack of desire for change. They got a flat out lack of desire to improve. They've numbed themselves with the remote control. And now you know what's going to happen? They're going to end up getting controlled remotely for the rest of their life. So don't get trapped, y'all. It's affirmation time. If you want to brand these concepts in your mind, I suggest you take on affirmations. I suggest you start learning to repeat incessantly and with power. And while looking yourself in the eyes, I suggest you embrace it and get really serious about affirmations. Everybody I know that's serious about affirmations and then serious about using the emotion that comes along with it, I've never seen somebody's life not change. Because your default thoughts have been programmed. They've been put into you. And the rest of the day, you're going to be programmed by marketing. I always say we live in the United States of advertising. You are going to continue to be programmed by the marketing machine if you don't take command of your own life. Am I making sense to somebody? All right. Repeat after me. Say it like you mean it. I am so happy and grateful